In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're back. Woo! What's up, Xeno? How's it going, dude?
You actually turn the mics on when you do the countdown, right?
Yeah, I always do that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do, because otherwise people will be scared out of their mind when I just come in like, woo, we're live! Now they have like a little, like, preparation.
I think there might be a volume disparity between you and me. You might check out the levels.
Yeah, I'll see. Hold on. Let me turn myself up a little bit. Let's see how that goes. It seems to be prettier right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. Anyway, have you played any Warframe this week?
I have.
Mm-hmm.
I typically have to play it in order to actually record the footage for 10 o'clock and for the name of the other thing. This.
Yeah, what thing is
FrameCast
this?
highlights.
Oh my god, it's a FrameCast. Shit. Always forget this title.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not like it's memorable in the slightest.
No. But what did you do? What did you enjoy? What did you enjoy? What you did?
Honestly, I did. I ended up getting into Wisp, and for the first time, actually learning how to play Wisp.
Ooh.
It was really, really nice. If anyone actually has any suggestions on how to play Wisp and things, please feel free to either post them in chat, add me as a friend in game, and actually send me your builds, and comment in the videos and things on. I'm sure this will make its way into the full version, not necessarily the highlights version, but even so, yes.
Honestly, I really, really enjoy Wisp. Even though when she came out, you kind of want to like a Warframe when it comes out, but you're always super critical about, wow, how big is the chances that like you really like a Warframe that comes out? And I really liked Hildren. Like, I thought she was great. And then Wisp comes out, and she looked really weird, being this stealthy Warframe that summoned the sun. I was like, I don't know, man. But she's really good. Like, I really like her kid.
The power of the sun in the palms of my hand.
Yeah.
Get points to anyone that gets the reference. No one gets the reference.
I don't see it yet. I don't see it. Comment below if you get the reference. But today we're gonna talk about the age-old question of how to improve Warframe. Last week there was a very interesting comment thread on the YouTube video of the FrameCast, which was about, in particular, like Nightwave and the Void stuff. Basically, their two main complaints were that when it comes to the Void, back in the day, you had to go to this mysterious place, which was the Void, which was always available if you had keys. If you didn't have keys, it wasn't always available, but it would always be there, and you could go in whenever you liked. Relics right now, you have to be lucky if a relic is on. Most of the time they are, but not all missions. And Nightwave, even though it's a new timely addition, which I honestly quite liked at the start, with it being more lore than just standard alerts that just pop up with a timer, it has given rise to some very repeatable and uninspiring challenges. So those are some things that I think stand out into today's Warframe, which make me not really excited about much in the game now. And I think that you also wanted to talk about Sanctuary Onslaught, Sorties, Conclave. Basically, like, we're not necessarily talking about the big stuff, like big updates, but just the day-to-day Warframe, right?
Yeah. So, like, one of the big things about Warframe's development is that it's so heavily influenced by these huge mega patches, huge mega updates, with the Plains of Eidolon really spearing it on. Then we've had, oh god, a Fortuna, now getting Empyrean. Now Empyrean was teased a year and a half ago, and we've still not had it yet. And there was actually a hint to in the Japan Tenno VIP, the Tokyo Tenno VIP, 2019, they actually said that the first part of Empyrean will be coming out later this year. So that's a good sign. But at the same time, for me and for, I suppose, a lot more of the veteran players, people that have played a lot of Warframe, have a lot of hours, days, years behind us, we are really starting to suffer from the whole, what am I to do? Yeah, and I think in looking at Sanctuary, Onslaught, Sorties, Conclave, Nightwave, all that stuff that already exists in the game, we are going to look at addressing possible solutions to how to bring back that very lack of life, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
at the same time, I want to just highlight, we're not game developers, we're not game designers, we are two fans. We like to think we know what is best for the game, but at the same time, we don't necessarily know what is best for the game, and we do rely solely on the developers to produce a good game. That being said, let's move on.
We're two people talking into cameras. That means that our opinion is superior and should be taken as fact. Of course not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just interesting to touch on some ideas and especially to go over this because my God, it hasn't been a really, really long period of time without a big update. Like, I think we discussed this before where we have had, what was it? We've had the row below list. We've had like Nightwave being added, but those were relatively small updates. And I'm surprised that they're splitting up Railjack, which is okay. I really hope that that will be two good substantial updates. But it's taking quite long, and I think that makes it a really prolonged period of time where you're really being pushed into the daily grind of Warframe if you want to do it daily. But like you're the natural status quo is really being highlighted. And I think the best place to start, I feel, is Nightwave. How much
Is that because you've got a comment that you want to feed into this and it makes sense?
not necessarily. It's just like if I think about this period of time, it's really accentuated to me via Nightwave because at the start of the year, we had a couple of updates, which were the Ropolo list and which were the addition of Nightwave. And Nightwave Season 1 was kind of fresh, and we didn't really know what kind of direction it was going to take. So it still felt kind of like lively in its sense. It was like I was kind of motivated to go ahead and complete the challenges, even if I didn't like all of them, because I was like, hopefully, they're going to find their middle ground. They're going to find the perfect sweet spot for what the great challenges are and how we can make Nightwave enjoyable. Now, the second season of Nightwave seems to be going on forever, in my opinion. Like I've been on vacation, I've come back, and it's been like around for another month. It seems like it's going on for an insanely long amount of time, and I'm feeling less and less inclined to do Nightwave, even when I log in and I have a bit of time. How about you?
So I wouldn't say that this Nightwave has been exceptionally long, because do remember that it started at 10:00 live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are talking now, I don't want to say 2 months. So we're talking 8 weeks, maybe 9 weeks since it
Yeah.
went live. And I will say, though, that this one does feel particularly long, I think, because of the additions that they've made towards the end of its life cycle, not close to the beginning, right? I have gotten my Zentai suit, my
Mm-hmm.
infested Guyver armor for my operator. I am happy with it. I have not bothered doing any of the additional stuff unless it's to help other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. I've got very limited time. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say,
Yeah.
really?
No, I get it. I get it. I think that it kind of exemplifies what most likely a lot of people will feel towards Nightwave. That's like, I want to get this reward, so I'll just do it. But for me, even though I think the suit looks pretty good, I'm not really enticed to do it because, like, I felt when Nightwave came around, uh, there was a lot of criticism that it faced, especially when it came around to the lore elements not being lore-y enough and not being like the cinematics not being cinematic enough, and it wasn't a good quest. And I was like, well, it's not really supposed to be a quest. It's supposed to be an alert system, and the only alert system that we have were just like computer generated alerts. It was like, boom, do an alert. It was the most unimaginative thing ever. So anything that we got was pretty alright. So I felt that was an improvement. However, I think that when it comes to the Nightwave challenges, the things you actually have to, that you could actually do for the standing in order to like grab your rewards, I don't know. I think that at the start we were really searching for what was the right challenge, and then it just kind of like dropped and it's now meandering about in the middle of like, I open it up. It's like, I'll do them if I just happen to do them. But let me make a clearer point as to what I mean with that. So I think that Nightwave can serve as a really great backbone structure towards the game, because overall this game is pretty all over the place. There are so many aspects to it, many aspects that aren't really finished yet, and when you enter the game, what are you supposed to do? Do you want to go into Arcwing? Do you want to go into the plains? Do you want to go into the void? I mean, what are you gonna do? And I think that Nightwave can offer that as a structure of, hey, let me give you a hand and give you some options for you to take. And I think that it can serve different player groups with that. So for the new players, I think that Nightwave is great with simple and easy challenges, telling them like, hey, have you tried marking resources? Have you tried putting down a glyph? Have you tried scanning things? And it's like, they're not really tedious tasks, but they just like, they show around the world and might like entice a new player to be like, I didn't know I could scan something. Let me just wiki how I can scan something and let me try it. And you get feedback and you get a little reward and it gets you in the game and it gets you going with some rewards. I think that for the other end of the scale, for the veterans, I think it's also a great opportunity to encourage different types of gameplay which might not be supported in the current system anymore. So things like really long survivals or really long defense, like long-term gameplay, it's like it's not really supported that much anymore when it comes to fissures. But I think that Nightwave could have certain challenges where it's like, well, if you're 4 hours into a survival, you get an insane amount of points. You don't need to do that challenge, but if you do, you don't need to bother yourself with the new player challenges because like it's not really meant for you. But it could all exist in the same system, and you have like, for the middle ground, you have like these challenges which might be a little bit too easy for like veteran players, but would be a little bit too difficult for players that are just in it and just are trying to figure out their way. And in that sense, you can serve everyone, or try to serve every player group individually. But I think that right now, it's just kind of, I don't really feel like fishing. I don't really feel like mining. It's just like, I don't care.
Yeah, while I was listening to you, like one thing that came. So we are talking about how to improve these various different aspects of Warframe, these various key features. So one thing that I have, and we have a poll system. We can ask this to the audience as well. Oh my god. Okay. So my question to you is, how would you like one task a week, and doing the task rewards you an advancement on a shoulder emblem? Yeah, so like the Stratos emblem, right? But we're talking a better design, so it changes shape more than just has a squiggle in it, right? That doesn't mean F all. It changes color. And you get it by doing this challenge, right? So you only have to do what? So this could be do 2-hour survival on Mott, right? This could be do what's it called? Akuva survival solo for an hour, right? It could be a lot, and the whole idea is this is hard stuff and purely for vanity, right? So let's say, how would you like super hard Nightwave challenges, weekly Nightwave challenges for Vanity Emblem? Yeah?
It's up.
Cool. So, like, I want to see what people have to say. I would love it.
I think that
I don't care. You better don't care. I like that.
I don't care. everyone's just gonna say don't care, and then we're just like, I guess they don't care. I guess we can just pack up our stuff and close down for sure. I think that a vanity thing would be interesting. I personally wouldn't mind if it's just more points, like in the sense that I don't really mind at a certain point, like when there are challenges of putting formas into something, when there are challenges of gilding something, when there are challenges of mining or scanning or putting glyphs down. It's like I don't really care to go out of my way to do that because that's not really a challenge to me, and it's not that doesn't really serve a function to me because I've already done that so many countless of times that I mean, I can see it be useful for newer players, but not really for me. And I'm like, well, what if there would be this harder challenge that would give the same amount of points of doing all of these challenges, and they're calculated into separate groups in a sense, so that even if you do all the easy challenges, you will still be able to, at the end of the weeks, at the end of the period, get all of the standing to rank 30, so you don't have to do all of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I was thinking points mean prizes, so this is often a phrase said between what's it called, Loz and his brother, and like I don't truly get it, but I mean, I thought to myself, like Loz and I have harped on countless times, what about vanity items?
Yeah.
What about a clan emblem? What about a sigil? What about a chest emblem? What about, maybe it could be a spray decal that changes as time goes, the more you do. But the whole point of these is to be something super hard that you have to try maybe multiple times before you can actually get. But you have the whole week to do it in, right? You're not talking like a 5-minute job here with, as I said, like a 2-hour survival on Mott, right? That's not going to be well, my suspicion is that it's not going to be easy. But at the same time, I'm sure there's plenty of people that be able to cheese it, right? Another one could be do what's it called? Do not Second Dream. Oh, curses! I want to pick a relatively short one. What's the shortest quest we have?
I don't know. What would be the shortest quest?
I'm going to say the Second Dream. Right, you got to do the Second Dream in 20 minutes.
Ooh,
right?
Actually, if they have the capability of tracking the time, I think that would be a great way to have this extra speedrun element within Warframe that's actually like being rewarded in some like funny way.
I mean, I think the difficulty there, or maybe a better way of doing it, is excavation, right? So you've got to get, say, 1,000 cryotic within some obscene number, like 15, 20 minutes. I don't truly know, right? But the whole point is you got to get the cryotic really fast. Anyway, should we? Okay, can we adjust the vote thing so we know how many people actually voted?
We have 6 people that voted, and they all loved it.
Yeah.
So they love the idea of being able to get like a cosmetic reward or cosmetic advancement when doing weekly hard Nightwave tasks. I think that's pretty cool. Like, it's. How do you feel about like the the level of tediousness when it comes to the challenges and repeating challenges that you have to do for Nightwave standing as it currently stands this season.
Okay, so some of them are really bloody tedious, right? I hate fishing, right? I used to enjoy fishing. I then had to spend 2 days, 24-hour sessions involving bloody fishing, right? I like the fact that you can get fishing bait for rep. I'd also like to just get bait for credits because I don't fancy playing bounties. Again, I don't like doing bounties. Bounties are slow and laborious. Well, mining, I don't mind, right? I can deal with mining. Mining is not a particularly long one. Tridalon, I don't mind. 3 sorties, that's really borderline. 5 is a definite no. There are some. Oh god, the Profit Taker. The bloody Profit Taker. Right? That is one I always cringe at. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So
or the complete the index win 3 index matches in a row without losing without losing a credit.
I don't mind that one too much because that can be quite quick. It's quite engaging. But what's engaging about standing by a bloody puddle throwing a stick at the water? Or try to stick at water?
See, this is the thing that I have when it comes to fishing and mining. Well, I mean, mining is alright, but then again, I don't know. Like, I like them as mini games, and I think that they're alright. They're good fun. But the thing that I've been kind of disliking in a sense about when it comes about the open worlds is that these mini games are part of some crucial progression. If you wanted to, I think, get amps, you had to fish. You needed the gemstones for important elements, and I was like, I don't want to farm this because like I want to play this action game. I don't want to like stand around and fish the entire day. Like because it's fun, but it's not fun if you have to do it for hours and hours and hours on end. And I think that fishing and mining were quite well accepted by the community for the mini games that they were. But I think that when it came to K drives, it was an entire resounding no, where people were like, oh, this is fun, and then kind of dropped it. Because I don't see anyone doing K drives that much. Have you filled up your standing?
I haven't started.
No,
I refuse to do that. I refuse to do K drives. They do my literal head in. Like when we were okay, so little story time with Xeno. When we were in Canada and they told us we're gonna do hoverboards like Back to the Future, Lars and I were pretty much like expressionless. Like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like that was actually due to fatigue, right? But what's come out has literally been okay, but because they have a system that completely makes K drive superfluous before you even get a K drive. If D had turned around and said, right, no Arcwing on or Valis because it's too cold, done. You know, I can happily take that BS reason and accept it, but like if you God, it's like the Itzel. The Itzel of the... You know, if you can blink, why would you take any other Arcwing? And I'm like, it's... Things not thought through.
No. But let's bring it back to Nightwave. So aside from some tedious tasks which are like not really engaging, it's alright.
Let's bring this to a positive. What tasks do you enjoy?
When it comes to killing with a certain weapon, when it comes to killing with a certain element, I think that they're pretty fun because, I mean, especially the element combinations is a great way for any type of player to just be like, oh hey, let me go and take a look at the gear that I'm wearing right now, and let me go and swap some elements around and see if I can create them, because it's something that isn't really taught that well in the game. and they're super nice to do, because if I just have to kill 150 enemies, I can just go and do whatever I feel like. I can do a sortie, I can do a fissure. I'm not bound to anything because you're killing enemies anyway. So over time, you'll be racking up those kills, and you'll be able to like cross these things off the list. I really like those. Uh, let's see. Which other ones do I enjoy? It's been a while since I've done Nightwave. I have to admit that. Which other ones do you really enjoy?
I personally prefer the tasks that you can stack on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So something like you've got to do a spy, you've got to do a nightmare, right?
Oh yeah.
Look for a spy nightmare. You've got to do exterminates, you've got to do relics, right? Relic exterminates, right?
Yeah.
As long as you can stack the thing, I'm down. So okay, so we've got spy, nightmare, and I have to do it with melee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. I'm working at 3 at 1 there, right?
Yeah.
And you don't always have to do that. Or you could do I actually quite like doing the 8 mod one, because the best place for that, do you know where the best place is? The best place I have found. It's the index, right?
Oh.
Every mod you get from the index is a rare mod, right?
Really?
Yes, it gives you a reason to go do the index. Also, if you've got the do 3 index waves in a row, right? You know, that stacks up quite nicely. And yeah, I like going to ESO to kill the hordes of enemies. So you've got to kill 1,500. I like to go to ESO for that, because you know there's always a minimum number of enemies on the screen. There's never like an empty room at any point. And it's also good for the Xmas units as well.
Yeah. I see that. I can see that entirely. How do you feel about those challenges that come down to crafting, when it's like use free forma in your builds, or guild 4 items? How do you feel about those?
Is there a guild 4 items? I thought it was guild 1 item.
I thought it was. I mean, guild some items. I don't.
Yeah.
Remember.
The formal one, okay. What random junk do I have? Oh, I'll form of that, right? Okay, don't really care. I'll just form of 3 random things. No word of a lie. And the guild and item thing, I typically. Oh, actually, Jesterfester has actually pointed out something I didn't know in chat live right now. Just buy a Motamp.
That is a brilliant idea.
I've genuinely never ever thought about that. Right? Typically, what I do is I buy the cheapest junk from Fortuna for the kick guns, because Fortuna rep is super easy to get with the mountain. No. I was gonna say the mountain of resources I have. I can just buy the debt bonds and then get the rep easily. So that's why I prefer doing stuff on Orb Valis.
I have it with the spiders. Like once you reach the spiders, you just have infinite debt bonds and infinite like Fox Solaris standing. It is really nice.
My dude, I did 24 hours fighting the Exploiter Orb. It was the best 24-hour event we ever did. But yeah, so I just typically just buy the basic parts for a kick gun, build the kick gun, level the kick gun, guild the kick gun, job done.
Yeah, so when it comes to like the crafting things, Psychomus mentions Joey. It's like I can understand it to like guide players, but at the same time, like if you're Joey and you built every single possible kick gun, it's like build another one. Like it's a bit of a waste.
To be fair though, I actually turned to Joey and I said to him that if he was to do that, I would pay for every weapon slot that because it would just make the video so much better. But he never took the platinum off me, but he did make every single kick gun, and to be honest, the video is great for it. You know, it's much higher in production value.
I remember he told me like I'm gonna build 100 kick guns, and I was like, at first I thought that he wanted to go with like something like the title of like I built 100 kick guns, And then he told me I built 100 because that's how many variations there are. I was like, shit, you're real. And he was for real. And it was for this little intro. It's like, that makes Joey. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not the greatest fan of the crafting ones. But then again, like, those are just a few. Those stacking ones are really great. And overall, I think that Nightwave as a backbone structure to kind of, like, guide people into, like, well, you could do this, you could do that. That's all right. It's pretty good. It's not world changing, but it doesn't have to be. One thing that was raised in the comments of last video though was the difference between the alerts that it replaced, and Nightwave right now. If you were out and about in Warframe and you had 3 different helmets pop up that you needed to get, they would pop up, you could go out and do them, and you could grab them, and you'd be done. Now with Nightwave, in order to get those, you have to go out and do the missions in order to ultimately get the credits at some point, and then spend those credits on the things that you want to get. But it's a very long journey compared to the alerts that popped up. So how do you feel when it comes to the alerts versus Nightwave? Not as Nightwave as a backbone structure, because I think that Nightwave as a backbone structure has a really great place, but I don't really know about the alert situation.
So way back when I first started,
you were a wee little 10-0.
I'm still big, fat, and bearded. So the big thing about Valban was the only way to get him was through the alerts.
Mm-hmm.
And Valban was the least owned Warframe in the entire game because his alerts were so gosh darn rare.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
I actually have, on a slight tangent, you know about the Norg hat and the Lotus hat for your operator that recently came into the game? Yeah,
No.
so they recently, so you buy them from Nakak.
Mm-hmm.
It is Nakak, isn't it? Not Nanak.
Yeah,
Nakak.
Nakak.
Yeah. You buy them from Nakak, and for the first week, they have not come on sale. And it's a 24-hour rotation on Nakak stuff. So this was similar with Valban. You just didn't know when the Valban systems were going to happen. People set up websites and things to crawl Warframe to see when the alerts would happen. You know, when you just have it in the background, and as soon as a Warframe, whenever a Valban part would pop up, the thing would wake you up, sort of thing, in the middle of the night, just to keep you going to get Valban. A lot of players didn't really get Valban, myself included, until the Gravidius Dilemma event, because his parts were all over the place, and it was just like, oh look, it's easy to get Valban now. Now that they've actually brought in the Nightwave stuff that gives you, the player, the control on when you want to do it, it's great, right? I do think that they had some hiccups, making it so that it was difficult to get, oh gosh, the Netane. That was a mistake on their part, but they have addressed that. They've made it better. And a lot of people said that it was more profitable to get Netane from, oh gosh, what's the name of the thing? From doing one a day than it was to actually get the Netanes from the Nightwave. And we sat down, Loz and I mathed it out. With the Nightwave, you could get 10 a week. Whereas if you just did one a day, you could only get 7 a week. And it was just like, the maths does not add up to what they're proposing. So in some regards, it's better. In other regards, it's just like, it's the same.
I feel this comes back to the stacking Nightwave challenges, in the sense of, so what I feel when it comes to the way that we favor or dislike Nightwave challenges, it really depends on How much am I being forced to go out of my way to do things I don't like? How much does this intervene with what I enjoy to do? So when it comes to killing things, or when it comes to doing certain missions, most of the time you're able to like maneuver it in what you'd like to do. So if I like to go out and do fisher missions, I can get the kills done. I can get the what is it the mission type done. I can get the relics done. I can do a lot of challenges within that mission, and I might even go out of my way and do a nightmare mission because it's not too different. However, when it comes to the challenges that really take you out of your game in a sense that you don't like, when it comes to do 5 sorties in 1 week, when it comes to do a profit taker, go fish for like 24 hours, it's it really feel I can imagine it really feels like the game is forcing you to do something you don't want to do, and then it becomes really hard to obtain something. I think that you like the benefits you pointed out with the new system over the alert system, where you're not forced to like wake up in the middle of the night, where you're not forced to just have luck that something pops up and that it's the right thing that you needed. But you can actually kind of work towards it. I think it's a great thing, and it should kind of. I can see how people can log into the game for the first time and be like, oh my god, I need to get 4 ranks until I can get like these credits. I don't know where they're at, but I need to do all these challenges in order to do them. That's so much more work than just an alert. But if they're challenges that are already like part of your subsystem of what you do every day, then I mean, you at some point will get them, and it doesn't take much more work.
Yep. Okay, cool. So I think we have pretty much covered what we want to talk about with regards to Nightwave. Actually, one minor addition I would say I would like to see is the episodic stuff. I would like to have a bit of dialogue held with the other characters. So, like, if we have Arlo, right? Okay, so fine, Arlo is a mute in this instance, but if we have Arlo's goons, maybe actually have someone voice act their lines so that when Nora Knight is speaking on their behalf, they are actually saying their own lines, sort of thing. It just to spice it up a bit, nothing huge or massive or anything like that. Just a little addition to how the narrative is told. Maybe different camera angles for the dioramas, because we only have one flowing camera. Just change the angle. Just change the angle. It just breaks it up a bit more.
Yeah. So I think that the main points when it comes to Nightwave, I think that the key thing across Nightwave, it's a backbone structure, and it would be nice to have a decent amount of challenges which can be stacked or can be synergized with things that you kind of do within Warframe. If there's all these challenges where you have to go out of your way for, it's kind of tedious. It can become kind of tedious. And at the same time, I think that a vanity reward for a really hard Nightwave task once a week would be an interesting thing to keep veteran players busy that halfway through have already eaten the carrot that's on the stick when they still have like a month left to go with this entire Nightwave thing. Yeah. So what is the next daily or like daily system in Warframe that you want to tackle?
Should we tackle sorties?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
So I think sorties were intended as a pretty cool thing in Warframe when they were first launched, with the idea of it being like hard, challenging missions that would get you better rewards, and you could do them only once a day, and you would have a chance for a legendary core, which I don't think exists at all because I've never ever gotten one in all the years that I did them. Did you get one?
I've had many legendary cores.
No,
not from the sorties. Not from the sorties. Like I think I had 4 legendary cores from what's the name of the Steel Charge change, and then I've bought a couple. Yeah, I've bought a couple for some friends that I've helped out with.
All right. So how do you feel about sorties?
Pretty much a waste of time. the issue I have with the sorties is something that the Nightwave system addressed. So one of the good things about Nightwave that we didn't really cover is the token-based system.
Mm-hmm.
Sorties don't have that. Sorties is a gamble on whether or not you get anything. If they turned around and made it so that what's the dang thing called? If they made it so that ribbons were a price, then that would be a huge problem, because the amount of ribbons hitting the market would just explode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people would, the value of the ribbon market would plummet, because people could just go out. Sorry, bear with me, I'm just gonna make a noise.
Mm-hmm.
People would go out and actually just, I'll just get a new ribbon, I'll just get a blank ribbon, I don't care. So it would have a huge impact. Yeah, it's the problem with sorties, I find, is that you aren't rewarded per mission. You're rewarded per 3. So it's a minimum of half an hour commitment to get something that is kind of mediocre. Oh, you can get some Kuva. Well, I get more Kuva from doing the Nightwave, right? Or I could just go do Kuva runs.
Yeah. Though I felt sorties were interesting at the start because you could get like more credits than usual, but that was years back, like a really long time back. And the rewards were sort of enticing until like you got like you put 30 minutes in a day in, and it's like, oh, I get a pineapple again. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh man, I really needed that 4,000 endo. Woo! Oh man. It feels so good. It's like it just kind of feels like a bit of a waste of time at a point where I'm like, I'm not really interested in them. So I kind of put up a poll that asks, how often do you do sorties? Do you do them daily, a few times a week, maybe a few times a month, or do you actually like never really do sorties?
Oh, hold on. I need to reply to this. Oh. Yeah, I'm totally a 4.
Yeah, me too. So
Yeah, it's gone.
what do you think would actually no. Let's actually back it up, because you said that Nightwave addressed the token system. Do you think there's still a place in Warframe with the Nightwave system in there right now for sorties, or has Nightwave pretty much taken over sorties idea, and is it just a bit superfluous at the moment?
I get where you're coming from. Personally, I think that there is a middle ground, right? I think that, yeah, keep Rivens on the RNG side of sorties, but take things like Kuva, like Endo, like the Iatan sculptures, any of that stuff, take it out, replace it with a token. And then you have the choice on what goes on that token, what that token goes on. Likewise, I would also, wow, we are getting so many votes. I'm liking this.
Yay!
Right. Also, introduce new stuff to the sorties. Right. Maybe put in some vanity stuff, like, you get a shoulder, the armor piece, a shoulder armor piece or something. Put in all sorts of stuff, and put that on the RNG as well. So you have a very rare chance of getting this stuff. And maybe if you get, like, I don't know, 5,000 or 10,000 tokens or something crazy, you could go buy that thing you couldn't get during the actual sort. But the problem is that it's difficult to maintain those rewards. And Rivens, I'm sorry, someone said it higher up. The problems with sorties is the ribbon cap.
Oh
said
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
And like, I kind of appreciate that there is a ribbon cap, because the ribbons are so complex in nature, in terms of how to store them in the database. They're absolutely massive compared to, this is a default X ribbon sort of thing. It's not ribbon mod. you know, this player has 12, this player has 36. You know, that's holding those numbers together is easy, but when you've actually got to break down the individual ribbons, it makes it so much harder.
Yeah. Nah, it's like when it comes to ribbons, I think they're fun to collect. In the sense of a passive collection. I know that they're really big collectors on there, but I'm like, if I get one, I think it's fun and I'll just use them. And at some points, like, you'll be at like the max amount of ribbons, but I don't really care to like delete one of them because I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't need any more, but I don't really need to delete one right now. Or sometimes you also have that, like, I have like the perfect amount of ribbons, and then the like it's like, here in the inbox message, have a ribbon, and I'm like, oh crap, and then I just can't do sorties anymore. But like, yeah,
Worse still, right? So during a stream with Tactical Potato and D. Scott,
mm-hmm.
the question came up, would you allow us to have a ribbon slot per weapon? And they were like, yeah, that's something that we would like to do, sort of thing. So they increased the ribbon cap, and they're like, oh, now this weapon type has ribbons. And I'm like, you've not solved the problem, you've made it worse.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. I mean, let's take a look at how many times people do sorties from the audience that's watching live right now. If you're watching this as a repeat, leave it in the comments below. Love to read it. Let's see. We have 2 people that do it daily. That's I take my hat off to you. Awesome. I don't have a hat, but just imagine a hat there. A few times a week, we have 8 people in the majority doing it a few times a week. We have 1 person that does it a few times a month, and then I guess these are both our votes, where we don't really do sorties.
Yep.
It might just be a like create a problem that we've done too many sorties. I think it's cool that a lot of people still do them.
To be honest, though, I think for us, the biggest issue with sorties is the fact that we have very limited time when it comes to playing Warframe. Like, I get maybe 3 hours a week, maybe 4, to actually play Warframe because I am just so busy. I made a video a while ago saying that I'm in the process of moving. I'm still here because I'm still moving. My shelves, like, so much of my stuff has been packed away. My glass cabinet is empty. Like, I'm still packing and stuff. And the whole point is very limited time. So when you do something in Warframe, you want it to be maximum reward. And I certainly don't feel that whenever doing sorties. So let's spin this now. What could we do? And feel free to make suggestions in chat and things. What could be done to improve sorties? My first, yeah, go on.
I saw Sir Ref here in chat suggest a enemy level, like a difficulty scaler when it comes to what you have in the Simulacrum, or maybe even have like a nightmare mode with sorties, so that if you put it up higher on a higher tier of difficulty, you'll be able to exclude things like no 4K endo or formas, but something better than those low tier rewards. And I can understand that sentiment, because the thing that really kills sorties for me is just spending 30 minutes and just getting like a low ball reward. I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like it.
No, I completely concur with that. One thing, so I would argue that it's going to be better if it was more of a handicap for you, only because you don't want to restrict the players you are playing with. So if someone wants to go in and just do a regular mission, then they can just do a regular one. But if you want to get like a better chance at like an additional reward, or you could put on a handicap, which caps your damage or caps your health regen, or maybe you're only 90% as powerful as you used to be, or maybe 80%. And in doing so, you get an additional reward that gets better with each thing, because that's one thing DE don't want to do, and I cannot comprehend this. why are we only given one reward per thing? You know,
Yeah.
why, after spending an hour, if like I'm lucky, spending an hour in an arbitration,
Hmm.
am I still only getting one reward? It's a fucking arbitration. I should be getting
Yeah.
2 rewards at a time if I get something as insane as an hour.
They're not too giving with the rewards, and I think that when it comes to sorties, I was thinking along the I was thinking along the lines of what you started with, the token system idea, because there are two main issues when it comes to sorties for me. Number one is that if you spend 30 minutes and you get an agent statue, you feel like shit. And if you get that a couple of times because the agent statue has a really high chance of dropping, it really discourages me from doing it again. Because I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes on getting an agent statue. I don't care. I don't want that. So I feel that a bunch of the rewards that are in there are. We need to find a way to replace the rewards that don't feel worth it with something else. Of course, you can't just take them out and only have the legendary core and whatever else you want to put in there, which feels rewarding for 30 minutes of play, because, I mean, then legendary cores are going to feel way worse, and we're going to have a big problem because everyone will have max rank mods, which is not something that you necessarily want because we're already overpowered. So I think that would be a nice place to replace these things with a token set. So instead of getting one of those rewards like an agent set, you get a token, or like let's say you get 5 tokens. You get 5 tokens instead of a agent statue, and if you go to the sortie shop or whatever the sortie thing
The
will be,
vendor, yeah.
you will be able to put in those 5 tokens for an agent statue or something else. So that like if I'm doing sorties on the regular and I don't really need anything, I can build up those tokens. But then at some point, I'm like, DE drops another umbral set of mobs, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't have the endo. I'd go to the Fender, and I'm like, here we go. It's big spending time. I can just like make it rain on that Fender, and he will supply me with all my endo. Completely safe endo. No, it's Warframe endo, not real world endo. And yeah, and I think that would be a way to like give you the choice if you want to spend another, and you can have higher rewards too for higher tokens, like the thing you were talking about affinity piece that might be very costly that you can work up towards that. But the second thing when it comes to sorties is you're doing free, and only on the last one you're being rewarded. If it's like 15 minutes until like the reset, why would I bother going into a sortie again? It's like you're never gonna like it's not gonna reward you for anything. So what if you complete a mission, you get 2 tokens. Like I complete the first mission, I get 2 tokens. It's not enough to like get me the entire reward, but let's say I'm at the end of the day and I can manage to get 2 in. I got 4 tokens. It's like it's not quite there to get an entire reward, but I mean, if I do 2 days of two missions, I can have a reward, and you can build those up. And I think that a token system in that way would solve a lot of my problems with sorties.
Yeah, I certainly think that vanity so maybe they could bring the seasons back, and maybe every 2 months. I'm gonna say 2 months. So there's 6 seasons a year. Probably worst thing in the world, call them seasons. Let's say there's 3 months in a season, like there is in real life. I'm so clever.
Let's call them spring, summer, fall, and summer again, because I like summer.
Fall?
Yeah, it's fall because the leaves fall.
Don't make me cry, please. Anyway. But what you could do is just rotate vanity items out. Yeah, as Nightwave says, autumn. It's autumn. Anyway, but the whole idea is that you could roll out. So you could have a shoulder piece that's in there for 3 months, or you could have and then you roll. Put that out and you put that in the vendor shop, and that could be gotten for like, I don't know, 5,000 tokens. So you have to do 100 days, or you have to of tokens in order to actually get it. Like, that seems perfectly reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's 90 days. Oh, actually, let's drop it down. Let's say 750 tokens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a chance of actually getting that.
You're being supported here, man. Like
Yeah,
they're
it's
supporting you.
awesome. It's autumn. Don't make me cry. Anyway,
If someone votes for fall, we win. Anyway,
no, I don't care.
uh,
It's
how
autumn.
how do you feel having a season system towards what is it towards sorties and a season system towards what is it Nightwave? Do you feel that that won't complicate things? For like we will understand, but when it comes to like the general casual player having like a season system on Nightwave and a season system on sorties, isn't it like a little too much if they have like two different ways that these seasons like, oh, check out this season for this thing and this season for that thing, and then if they both coincidentally happen to end at the same time, it's like, I don't know what happened here.
Maybe it should be something shorter then. Maybe it should just be a month or something, or maybe it should be after the first level 30 player, hits. Sorry, not level 30. Tier 30 on the Nightwave.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's from then until the next Nightwave seasons. Apologies. Hiccups. Maybe it's from when the first player hits tier 30 in Nightwave, and then stops when it's the start of the next Nightwave. Not intermission, just the next Nightwave. Because the whole point is to give players more choice. But I too rightly get what you're saying and what Nightless is saying. Dailies stress people out. You feel like you're railroaded into doing something. But the reason why I'm suggesting after you can get tier 30 in a Nightwave is only because as soon as I hit that, and as soon as a lot of people have hit that, I mean, we had the poll up earlier, only 6 people responded, but as soon as, I think we had the poll up. Anyway, as soon as you hit, no, we didn't. As soon as you hit that, you just deadpan stop. You don't bother doing night waves anymore, which is a problem.
No, I can see that. I think that combining the two in that sense might work nicely because having multiple things you have to do every day is kind of like forcing you down a road of like you kind of like people will feel forced that they have to do that even though you don't really have to. But I mean, having to do multiple different things a day can be feeling like you have to do all of this, which might be like hours of gameplay which people don't have, or it can be really confusing in the sense of, oh shit, I want to progress for this star chart here, but now it's telling me to do this thing and this thing and I don't know. So yeah, I like that.
So I just want to address what Nightless is saying. So yeah, Nightless, if you're, do we have transcoders?
I think we do.
Okay, so basically Nightless is saying, so go do night waves on dailies if you want, but then let Nightwave give you items to be able to do sorties, nothing major or something casual. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure if you're being sarcastic. I'm just basically suggesting that when you've done your Nightwave, you have the opportunity then to do the sortie stuff. That's the big part of it. Not, So Issa's saying sortie should have a standing point. Yeah, like I think in order to be able to get things like the Iota sculptures, like the Endo, like the Kuva and things, take them out of the reward drop tables and things. Just put in a token instead, allowing you to buy what you want, but replace those items with more vanity-based stuff. So you could feel like you're getting a chance to get that vanity item if that's what you want, or you could work towards that vanity item if it's the next season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you could go to the shop and then buy it. So
Yeah.
I think that is what I think would help Sorties. I could be wrong though.
Mm-hmm. So I see that we're about an hour and 5 minutes in, which means that we have roughly an hour left to talk. I think we're running really close on time because I mean an hour
We'll move
talk
on.
about Conclave. I don't think an hour will do.
Oh, I don't know.
But
Maybe.
how will we fix Conclave?
Okay. I personally feel that Conclave is a really difficult thing to address with Warframe.
Yeah.
Right. The problem for Warframe and Conclave is seriously in the networking code. I don't know how many people are actually running dedicated servers for Conclave. I know I tried to, but the problem is, as a content creator, I was rendering my videos and, oh, look, the server went down. Oh, whoopsie doodle. So I can appreciate. Oh wow, the number of people that stop listening as soon as we move on to Conclave is hilarious. Anyway, so
Don't look at it. But to clarify around the Conclave thing, it's Warframe's PvP side of thing. But they introduced a couple of years ago. They introduced the dedicated server feature. The idea was that you could, if you're not playing on your computer, you can launch your Warframe launcher, then start up a dedicated server, and your computer could become a server where people could play PvP on. And you would get points based on how well your server scored, and based on that, you would get something in return. I have never heard of them giving something in return. I've never heard them mention the dedicated servers ever again since like 2017 when they introduced this. Or have I missed something?
No. So Lunaro hit the floor running. People really enjoyed it to begin with, and I still enjoy it today. But the problem is that there are some people that have a serious advantage because they are playing and they are hosting the game themselves. They don't have the net lag that everyone else does. Yeah, you could in theory simulate the latency, which will be a little bit of a weird, shitty thing to do. But again, dedicated servers are a possibility. Now, when you're playing a multiplayer PvP title, there are always lag issues, regardless of what you're playing, whether or not it's Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, Fortnite, whatever. There are going to be latency issues no matter what. And I think one thing I would like to investigate is if there was a way to schedule the dedicated servers, right? Because if I could go, right, I want you to be available to host a game between this time and this time, right? When I'm asleep or I'm at work or my PC's doing nothing. But if you see that my CPU utilization is above 50%, stop, right? Because I'm obviously rendering something, yeah? Then that way I would just happily leave the thing on.
However, what I'm worried about is that something like that would be a great way for you to run a server. But I think that even with the best intentions, it would be a band-aid solution because yes, there would be people like you that would be willing to use their computers as dedicated servers. But in general, I think, like, how do you entice players to run servers on their computers when the structure isn't mentioned? It's hidden away in the settings where you really have to look for it. And there is no reward structure for it because you're asking players to provide a service which I honestly don't really know whether providing like having players on a volunteer basis provide a server service is a really good solution to building up a PvP, a working, functioning, good PvP system to your game. I feel it's really, really like wonky. Like the foundation is really bad.
So I think players should be rewarded for hosting a server and the server gets used, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for I don't know, it depends entirely on the usage, but I would have it so that for each game that your server hosts, it pays. So you get paid 1 platinum
Mm-hmm.
by Digital Extremes, right? Or maybe 5 platinum or something like that,
Do
right?
you think that that could become like a really efficient platinum farm? Like, let's say that I am an enthusiast when it comes to computers. I have like 5 different computers that are able to run a server. I just leave them on all day, and I'm hosting various matches. And if it's like one, maybe like one is it's gonna take some time, but 5 platinum, like I would have to like if I host like 20 matches, I have 100 platinum. Like if we want to popularize PvP, then there's gonna be more than 20 matches a
Then
day.
maybe just one. But the thing is, like, it depends on how many people are connecting to you. We don't know these numbers.
No.
Maybe it's a case of 1 in every 10 nets
Mm-hmm.
you a platinum or something like this. These are numbers that only Digital Extremes are only able to validate, sort of thing. And I feel that it should be for real money equivalent, only because if you had to pay to host dedicated servers, well, you're paying real money towards that. If you were to give out platinum to your fan base to do this, well, they're only going to cycle the platinum around within the game platform,
Uh,
right?
I I can see that, and I can see like that that it would be a fine reward the for the for the players in game, and it's not real money that you're giving out. However, Warframe's entire monetary structure runs on the sale of platinum and the sale of prime access, but I think primarily platinum because year round that's the way that people buy it. And basically, what we're creating here, aside from host a way to host servers for the PvP side of things, which is entirely reliant on individual hardware, which isn't checked on individuals that need to do this voluntarily, that aren't like being repaid with money, but then with platinum. It's already a bit like it's not a really solid structure. But what we're doing at the same time is giving people in game a Bitcoin infrastructure to farm for platinum. Like in the sense
You
that,
read that, didn't you?
yeah, I
You
read
read
that
that.
out of the chat. It's like you're just mining for platinum, and that like if people find an efficient way to do that, which they will, like trust me, they will. If there's a way to like get free platinum by just having computers run, oh my, like that could seriously upset like the supply of platinum on the market, which mind you would most likely just be gotten like legally in a sense, because if it's just like you're getting money for matches you host, and as long as you're hosting matches, it's like yeah, that's alright. And then like I could already imagine. Here we go. How would I make this the most efficient? I would have my server set up. I would set up as many servers as I can. I would tell friends and the people that I know to only do PvP, because if I run PvP and because my server is the closest, I would just get mad platinum, and I'd be able to buy everything, and those prices will increase. And if you see how much platinum Riven's are already selling for, an inflation in platinum would not only hurt the people in game that have a little platinum, but it's like, I mean
Don't
that,
don't
yeah.
don't get me wrong, right? I completely appreciate where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
These are some serious concerns,
Yeah.
right? However, there are so many different things that you could do to monitor this. First off, you could simply say, right, only one server per Warframe account.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There you go. That's a huge limit right there. Next, only one server per IP address. Right? Again, another huge limit there. Right? So you would actually have to purchase multiple servers, multiple IP addresses, external IP addresses, to allow you to farm platinum, right? Also, you have to say how many people are even playing Conclave, right? Because I don't know about you guys, the number of times I try to play Conclave and I'm just sat there waiting for people to fill the lobby,
It's
it's just like
it's
whatever.
crazy. But I wanted to ask you one question about like the back end of things. Do you have any idea how games like Call of Duty or Overwatch, how they run their hosting, the hosting of their PvP matches? Do they do that by having their own servers, or do they host it on people's machines?
Sorry, Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Not a clue. I have no idea. I don't
Well,
play.
just like in general, the other like relatively more successful PvP games.
Okay, Overwatch is a dedicated server system.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at PvE. We've got Diablo 3. That's a dedicated server system. You had to be always online, even though there was no subscription fee.
I
There
think
was with
PvP
World of
is really
Warcraft.
important in here because we're looking at the PvP side of things.
I know.
Yeah.
But it was a fair comparison sort of thing. So,
Mm.
Heroes of the Storm was dedicated server. Oh gosh, Dota, I'm pretty sure is dedicated servers. League of Legends is pretty much dedicated servers. A lot of those PvP-esque games are purely dedicated servers. I can see you've got the hand ready. You want to say something?
No, it's just that like we've been focusing on the server side of things, and I think that servers are like this the advantage you have in hosting it on your own machine and not having great servers to have PvP on really like kills it if you want to do this in any way seriously. I think that as long as the can't get their own dedicated servers and the community has to provide them, I think it's always a bit of a tricky solution. However, let's look more into the entire other side of Conclave, not the network backend structure, but one of the main things, which is for me a really big downside of PvP, matchmaking on lobbies. It's horrible. So I remember a little bit of a story time with Michelle. Haha, better story time. But no. So back in 2017, we hosted this insane like Twitch event for 72 hours with a bunch of like content creators over on like Warframe fan channels. And for that, like we wanted to do or I think Tactical Fatty wanted to do a Lunaro tournament with teams of content creators like doing Lunaro against each other. And I thought that was a really cool idea because like Lunaro is like, it's a really fun like sports type of game. It's not really like played that much anymore, but I think that if you can like create teams and like, I would love to like tag along with another streamer or like tag along with other people and make videos about like every week we square off with people from our communities to see who is the best Lunaro player team in the game. Whatever, it could be really fun. Like honestly, I could see also playing with friends. It could be really fun. But when we started doing this Lunaro tournament, we had the involved. We had some devs that joined in. We had a bunch of creators. They even like hosted it on prime time the week after because we weren't able to do the finals in that stream. But even in the most optimal situation with the devs involved, with people that knew kind of what they were doing, I guess, because they played Warframe kind of for a living, we had a really hard time to get everyone in because like the way that Lunaro works, you can only invite 4 people in your regular squad. With that, you jump into Lunaro. You might already lose a couple of people when you jump into Lunaro, but then you have like 5 seconds to invite everyone, and then you have to like swap everyone around before like the game starts. So what it mostly ends up happening is like you kind of like invite everyone, but then no one is in the right team, and you have to like stop the match or like wait the match out before you can swap out teams, and then you have to hope that people don't lose connection, which also happens like half the time. So it is a horrible mess if I want to go out and like select a stage, play with a friend, make a team. It is absolutely garbage. It's even before you get in, it's a horrible system.
Okay, so obviously they need to actually adapt the trial system, the invite system for the trials in order to actually get Lunara or whatever up to par. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a simple case of we're waiting for someone to join, then you don't start the timer, you don't allow players to engage with each other, or maybe they can, but they reset their position when everyone's in and it's ready to start. I totally get where you're coming from. Part of the problem I have is with the lack of players playing Conclave. There's no real reason to do any of this work, which is a huge upset. So the big question is, what would incentivize you to play Conclave? You are primarily a PvE player. Is there something we could give you from PvE P to PvE to make it worthwhile? Right? Is there, maybe mods, maybe peculiar augments, maybe frick a whole Warframe, right? I like the vanity stuff that comes from the PvP events, right? I've done Quick Steel. I love that one, and I did the Valentine's Day one with the arrows. I enjoyed that one as well. I enjoyed the Quick Steel one more. But unless there is an incentive for players, they're not going to be able to work out what they can do to improve the system. There's no point in spending the resource. So I just saw what Zakimus put in.
Yeah,
chat.
I mean, 100%. I think that 90% of the player base, and these are not like the active player base. I mean, the entire player base. So we have about 50 million people. So let's take 90% of that, which is a lot, about more than 10. Would go out and do Conclave if you could get Excalibur nudes for PvP. I agree with you, Sakimus, 100%. To me, one of the big, really off-putting things when it came to Conclave wasn't that there weren't really like crazy rewards. I thought it was kind of enticing to like play to like fight against other players, because like you don't really do that, and it's like, I mean, it's Warframe, like PvP and Warframe. I think everyone will try it out at some point if they're aware that Conclave is PvP. But if they're aware, they'll probably try it out. But one thing that really put me off, and I also saw mentioned in chat, is like it's the imbalance between not only like the different like warframes and weapons within PvP, but also the entire big imbalance between the game and PvP. And I can 100% understand that there needs to be a difference between like you need to adjust some numbers, because if you have an Umbral Forma build against a Mark 1 starting out player, it's just no fun. But the thing was that I started playing PvP, and like you get into it, it's a bit of like a weird thing, because this is the first time I joined, and you come in and you're like, well, I've been playing this game for 4 years. I worked really hard to get my Tigris Prime. I worked really hard to get like my Chroma to where I wanted to be. Let me go. And then you face off and you turn a corner, and there you go. You find yourself a what is it?
So I want to point out.
Yeah.
Isn't the Conclave build entirely separate from the
It
PvE
is.
build?
It is. But it's about the sensation. Yeah, you know that you have like your build is different, but like you worked really hard for the Chroma Prime and the Tigris Prime that you have, and like they're pretty good. And you turn around the corner, and there you find yourself an Excalibur with a Mark 1 Brad, and you're like, I got this. And you just point blank, you both start shooting at each other, and you die. And it's like, what the hell just happened? And it's like, it's like, it makes so little sense, and like everything is just like everything that you know about Warframe is just entirely different. It feels like a game that looks visually like Warframe, but like internally makes very little sense. And I think that it is better to create a greater separation, in the sense of it's not about the warframes that you have in PvE. It's not about like the lotus you have in PvE. PvP, I would like it to be a lot more like, well, it's Warframe PvP. So if you come in here, like you kind of all start from like this 0 level, which might give you access to like a bunch of Warframes already. But all these things are like PvP loadouts. Like you can't mod them like you do in the PvE side of things. So that everything is like, if I go into like a Call of Duty game, which has been years since I've done that, but like you go in, everyone has kind of the same loadouts, and you can pick up weapons more if you move along within PvP. But like it makes sense that these weapons are kind of like differently leveled against each other. Then when it comes to like the Tigris Prime that I worked really hard on to get, and then it gets outbeaten by like a Mark 1 Brat, and it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm out.
Weirdly enough, I disagree. I actually like the fact that older weapons are able to stand up against newer weapons in Conclave, and I do feel that there needs to be a separation between how you play in PvE as well as PvP. One of the biggest problems for PvP exclusive players is the fact that they do not have access to the majority of the warframes. Right? They have Excalibur, Mag, Vault, and I think that's it. So unless they go do some PvE, they got none. They got none.
I do want to point out that I was also advocating for like a bigger separation between them, and also like the leveling of the playing field of the weapons. I 100% understand that. However, it's like, it's because like it feels like it's the same thing. It's like it feels like I'm carrying the same weapon that I've worked so hard for to get, and then it gets outbeaten by like a Mark 1 Brad. It's like, that makes no sense. And like if there's a bigger separation between like, this is the PvP side of things, so you also have PvP progress. Like the point you're raising for PvP players that just started, that have to like do all the PvE stuff. Really, really good point. I really like that. I liked someone mentioned in the chat like the snowball fight. I really like the snowball fight because everyone had snowballs. It's like, if your snowball beats my snowball, I know they're both snowballs, so it's like you were probably better. Like, fine, that was really good.
So one of the things that I feel that really needs to be made clear for PvP, for Conclave, is that you should only have access to hit scan weapons, right? The netcode is not good enough to handle projectile-based weapons, and this could so easily be seen with the likes of Dog Days, right? And whenever I've played the PvP, the weapon I always primarily take is the Bursten, right? The Bursten is the weapon I take. It gives me more control, more accuracy. I can, pepper the enemy with bullets from far away, so on and so forth, right? That is my weapon of choice. The Warframe, I think I either take an Excalibur or a Loki. It doesn't really matter. But I can get the whole separation thing being a bit more apparent. Maybe it's a case of you can only ever equip default colors, right? There are different ways to address it and things. Maybe it's a case of you should have your handheld as you're playing PvP, right? Maybe it should be akin to, what's the name of the game? Something like Hearthstone or something, where when you're first doing PvP, you're against bots, and then you're slowly introduced into doing it with other players. But
I think the introduction thing is a big problem at the moment, because what you're faced with right now, because like there are so little numbers to PvP aside from a really dedicated community that does play it a lot. you don't really have like this, like you're missing the player base that's like beginner to like middle ground, and you have a lot of like people that master it. So if you want to get into PvP right now, even if you get into a match, which is really hard, most likely you'll be teamed up with people that have been playing it for like a lot and a long time. So you'll get your ass handed to you so many times because these players are seasoned within PvP, and if you want to get into it, like you got to get over that long time of like getting used to the moveset of PvP, the play style of PvP, and then like trying to like get to the level of the players that you're up against. And I can see that being really discouraging for players that want to get into it, because I mean, it's not always like you like PvP is not always about winning, but like there's a difference between like not being the best and just almost not standing a chance.
On a random tangent, do you know that after his 22-year-long career, Ash Ketchum finally won a Pokemon League at the ripe old age of 10?
He did. He only had to sacrifice his art quality, and it was amazing.
You did hear the numbers I gave you, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Everyone seems to glaze over that. I don't know why.
I mean, I
Right.
mean, I mean, I mean. Okay, so like Goku's already a granddad. I think Naruto is a dad already, and then like Nash, he's still 10. Woo! Never ages.
Moving on. So, yeah, I think that PvP needs a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's but the drive has to be there. I think I've seen it in chat. If you fail, like if you lose, you should still get points.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I think you have to incentivize winning over losing, right? Fair enough. But if you don't give pity points, then people aren't going to play. It's I don't know. Maybe there just isn't a place for PvP in Warframe. I don't know.
I don't. I like at the time. I don't think so, because it's not part of my regular schedule. I haven't played it in months, and it just feels really really barren. So unless something major happens that gets people in, like it's just that thing to decide that some people do, but most people don't. And it's not in a situation that will get people excited. It's a Warframe cycle. It's a Warframe cycle of what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but it's kind of like the Warframe cycle of Purgatory, where something gets launched and it might get one update if it's lucky, and then the player base kind of dwindles because there are some problems in it, and then the problems don't get fixed, and the player base dwindles, and the problems will never get fixed because there's not enough players in it, and it just sits there. And I think
Make Arkwing great again. Right.
oh man, oh man.
Should we move on to our last thing?
Yes.
Because this is not Arkwing. This is Sanctuary Onslaught. This is something near and dear to my heart. I love Sanctuary Onslaught. It's good fun. But in all honesty, a lot of this topic was spurred on from the fact that Arbitrations was getting a rework, but Sanctuary Onslaught has seen absolutely nothing. And I genuinely don't know why. So, first off, let's put a poll out. Do you like Sanctuary Onslaught? Right. So, I love it. I hate it. I don't care. Yeah.
How do you feel about it as it
I
stands
love.
right
I
now?
love. Oh no, no, no! As it stands now, it needs more. Right. It's it's a great place to level stuff. It's a great place to just see different tile sets, to fight various different things. But personally, I think they're. I love it. I think it needs more. If Arbitrations can have more, then Sanctuary Onslaught can have more.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, because the I so personally, right? I love how fast it is. I
Mm-hmm.
love how restrictive it is. I love that you always win unless you somehow magically die. I
Mm-hmm.
love how, there's like a lot of work and effort gone into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I love that it's actual expansion to what's his name? Cephalon Samaris.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there could be so much more than just killing stuff, right? First off, the augment mods should be auxiliary things. They shouldn't be actual mods. They should be stuff that is on the like your weapon or
Mm-hmm.
on your warframe, or just something that is an auxiliary attachment to playing the game just for vanity reasons. I would love having orders go monster kill, 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 just for a laugh, right?
Mm-hmm.
But likewise, I don't want it to be just murder stuff, right? Let's have a wave, right? So say at like wave 5, you have to survive a level 750 stalker, right? For 2.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So the efficiency, it pauses, right? But you have 2.5 minutes for a level 750 stalker to not murder your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get through to the next round. Let's have another round where in 2.5 minutes, you've got to hack, say, 15, 16, 20, 25, whatever, a number of terminals. And if you don't hack them, right, then you don't continue on, right? That's it. The simulation's over, right?
I think it's an interesting concept. I don't necessarily know whether I feel it's kind of like the essence of Sanctuary Onslaught as we've come to know it, because like a bit of the charm of Sanctuary Onslaught I felt was that it was solely like based on the killing, where it's like if you went out to survival, like survival wasn't really surviving, because
No,
survival was more like, yeah, care about the life support and like just like use the enemies to like kill them at the appropriate kill rate so you can keep up the life support from the personal life support modules. So it's just like it's more like just like care about the life support, not care about killing people.
yeah,
And I felt that Sanctuary Onslaught was this thing where it's like we're giving you like unlimited enemies, but you gotta kill them as fast as you can. You gotta
yeah.
keep up with the killing. If you don't keep up, it fails, but you can try again. And I think that something like a Stalker element in it would be an interesting and fitting change of pace. However, I think that when it comes to hacking, it becomes something different, and I think that that would be an interesting game mode where it's like it's testing all your different sort of skills. So it's like killing,
Well,
it's hacking.
the
Mm-hmm.
big thing is, Samaris turns around and he says that he is testing you,
Mm-hmm.
right? He is seeing how you would fit in the sanctuary. He implies that he is looking to bring you into the sanctuary, right? To see
Mm-hmm.
how well you do. It is a quote unquote stress test, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, not stress test of it, is a stress test of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I personally think that so many of these additions, I mean, hell, make it so that you have like one of them is you have to kill an Eidolon in 2.5 minutes, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
kill a terrorist, right? You what you call it? You have to fish a boot in 2.5 minutes. It doesn't matter. The whole point is that there is some form of change, right? You could throw in like Krill, you could throw in what you call it, Mutalist V. You could throw in all sorts of stuff because this is the quote unquote sanctuary. There is so much opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
do anything, right? So if arbitrations have it so that you now get a reward every 5 minutes instead of every 10 minutes, if killing the arbitration drone gives you a who voted two? Who voted two?
Well,
Okay.
let's
Anyway, sorry,
let's
sorry.
let's take a look, because see, I feel that like Sanctuary Onslaught doesn't like. I don't really care. It's like I think it's fine in a sense. It's like it's not something that I do regularly. I thought it would be a really cool when they announced it, a really cool like skill test where it's like go on like longer and longer and like really like synergize as well as you can with like the best team and then try to like move as far as you can. It's like a um it's like a tester of like of strength and skill, and like the goal would be not to like go like for 8 hours in the defense but to go to wave 50 in Sanctuary Onslaught, and that would like be a public big display leaderboard where it's like this is the highest team, like the team that went the highest, and people try to beat it, and like there's really good rewards in that in beating it. However, right now it's like it's as being said, it's like it's an easy way to get affinity and relics. The rewards on it, like the shiny relics are cool. Sanctuary Onslaught, I've never really played that because it's like it's a Korra farm. I don't think it has a really great place, but it's like yeah, like as it stands right now, it's not the greatest because like if you're joining in with a Saren, like you can sit back and just watch the affinity come to you. But at the same time, it's like I think that what you're trying for is a great concept, but I don't think it's a great concept for Sanctuary Onslaught as we have known it for the past year or two. I don't know how long it's been out, but for like ever since it's been out, it's like it's morphing it into something which is interesting, where it's like a variety test of skills, where you're like where you're being thrown with like a new with like a new challenge every time you go for the game. It's like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. Is it gonna be Eidolon? Is it gonna be hacking? Is it gonna be
No,
you don't know. But
it wasn't supposed to be every. It was supposed to be like every 5 or something like that.
yeah, but it's I don't know. Like I can see where you're coming from, but I think that when it comes to like Sanctuary Onslaught as it is now, it's like I'd rather see that be in something else, because like I think that Sanctuary Onslaught is a fun thing to do. It just doesn't really take a center stage. I don't know.
But that's the problem, though. It's like, so why is arbitrations get okay? Throw. Can you throw up another poll? Do you prefer arbitrations or SO/ESO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I mean,
Because personally, I can't stand arbitrations. It is just an endurance fest, and it is slow as all heck. Right, I much prefer doing Elite Sanctuary Onslaught because there is some form of pace with it, right? But like, I don't think I'm bitter towards the fact that it took me 70 hours to get a aura former, but I like which do you prefer? Have you done arbitrations?
I've done arbitrations a grand total of 2 times. Oh no, 3 times. I did them 2 times on stream. I did them 1 time with you when we were farming for the aura format.
Right. Okay.
I thought the concept was great with them being like elite alerts or so. That's the way that they like developed it. But I think that they went the wrong way around, because number one, it doesn't really feel greatly challenging. The only thing that they have is like the invincibility drones, which kind of feel like, I mean, it's just like it doesn't really feel like engaging. It just feels like a little bit annoying, and it's just the massive time. It's like I would have loved for it to like raise the levels like by 20 to 30 levels at the start and make it 2.5 minute rounds instead of 10 minute rounds, because basically I felt that when I started doing it, it's like it's 2 rounds and you get a reward. So like if you're doing it for like 25 minutes, you could have gotten 5 rewards in a regular survival, and you only have like 2 in arbitrations. And it just feels as though it's kind of like a parody of the long endurance community, where it's like, oh, you like going long, you like going really long in your games, well, let's put a rotations on like twice as long. It's like, no, because like that's not what it means to go long. It's like like, yeah, let's extend it. It just doesn't feel efficient at all. It doesn't really feel enticing. I like the you die thing, and like, I mean, they kind of like added in revives, but it's just like, it just feels like a really drawn out thing that doesn't engage me at all. And they might have fixed this, but for the longest time, like, the scaling was worse than in regular survival. So if you go into regular survival, enemies would scale harder and faster than they would in arbitrations. So like, this entire thing of it being difficult didn't make sense, and then the rewards were just so little.
Yeah. So like the big thing with arbitration, obviously we've they're addressing the rewards handout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or so it'll be AA, BB, CC, and then just C constantly,
Yeah.
right? So you won't get a C reward until 25 minutes in. Did I do that? AA, BB, yeah. So
25.
yeah,
No,
so
it's on a 10-minute reward.
A5. No,
It's
no,
on.
no, no, no. They're addressing this. They are changing
Oh,
it.
they're changing it. Cool.
Yeah. So it'll be they're reducing the amount of endo you get.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're only getting 25% of the endo, so they're reducing it by 75%, but
Mm-hmm.
you're getting it like twice as fast, kind of thing. But like, I just don't find it entertaining. One of the
No.
big things is you have zero control over the mission type,
Mm-hmm.
right? No one would go do an arbitration unless it was the are you sorry? Are you sure, Nightless, that it's reduced to 75% and not by 75%? Because I remember reading it was by
Yeah.
75%. Anyway,
I don't know
it doesn't
anything
matter.
about this, so yeah. The rest of the
It
information.
was recently announced, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't like the fact that you have zero choice over the mission type.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So once an hour, that's it, right? Okay, cool. If you don't get to the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes currently, then you can redo it, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. But if you get to like 11 minutes, you then die. Oh, cool. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. You've got nothing to do with 50 minutes. Right? I really don't like that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that you have no choice. I can barely tolerate it with the Fisher missions,
Mm-hmm.
but you are horribly railroaded in arbitrations.
Yeah.
Right? You have to go with a pre-made team or, good effing luck.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like arbitrations because they are pretty much the opposite of Elite Sanctuary Onslaught.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I feel like I'm that university student that like puts up his legs and like, I don't like arbitrations, change my mind.
No, but like, I don't like the meter. Like, I can't change your mind because like, it's the same thing. I remember doing one on stream for the first time. I was like, I don't like this that much. Let me try again. We tried again, and I was just like 20 minutes in, and I got like 2 aids and statues, and I was like, dude, I could have done so many rounds of like ESO, and I just quit because I was like, I just don't like this. I really don't. And I went back with you one more time to like try to get the Aura Forma, which was like, we were like on Discord and we were like on a talk. We were having a talk at the same time, so like, that's fine. I mean, but like, it's just background noise at the time. But then they went ahead and gave out Aura Forma anyway, so it's like,
Oh
well,
god.
why do it? And yeah, like, it's as much in the picture for me as Conclave is. I just never touch it.
I don't find arbitrations rewarding at all, right? Because, right now you have to be there for 30 minutes before you have a chance at the C rotation, right? That is one hell of a slog, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to quickly get the maths. I need to get the
Mm-hmm.
maths. Guys, hold on, I need to get the maths. So in an Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, I will be there for, oh wait, no, I was doing that right, for approximately 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and had to go at 4 rewards, right? Whereas in arbitrations, I would have had 2.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with ESO is that people have no incentive to actually keep going. I don't know, put on some rare stuff, put some mods on. Like, I would love it, right? Genuinely, I would love it if there was another set of augment mods for the Warframes, right? Why are we limited to one set of augment mods? Why can't Smite for Oberon, because obviously I'm an Oberon main, why can't that have an augment which brings everything together, so all the enemies just come crashing together. They take as much damage as if all the balls went flying to them, but they just drop to the floor. Why can't I have that?
Actually, I have another question, like a more encompassing question about like the things that we've been talking about, which includes Sanctuary Onslaught, ESO, and maybe more of the things. But it came to but it came up when you said like, why can't we make something like Sanctuary Onslaught more enticing by adding in like these rewards? And to that, my question is like, do these things necessarily need that extra level of enticing? Now, follow me along here, because like, yes, I would if they would add in new augments to ESO, and I wouldn't get them from day one access, I would go out and get them, but in time I would get them. I would be here in the same position, and you would too. And this is the case, is that we're both sitting here watching the game as people that have put thousands of hours into the game and are sitting here at the point where they can't develop fast enough for us to like keep us busy. And I think it's a very valid viewpoint for people that have been playing the game to like kind of keep them happy, and like to look at the like status quo, the regular status of the game when there's nothing big happening. But at the same time, I think we also have to like realize that if we're gonna throw in like big rewards, like people are gonna get them, you're gonna be back in the same thing. And like, I feel that we're like
So,
really looking at like enticing the upper end, the upper levels of the player base that have already done everything, instead of like looking like, let's say that I'm just casually playing Warframe like two days a week. I just started like a month ago. Like, I'm thinking that there are a lot of things that are enticing to me when it comes to ESO and or arbitrations maybe.
so one of the big things that we are trying to address, right, is this, hey, look, D are going absolutely overboard with the Empyrean, right? Year and a half, still sat here waiting. Yes, we've had the content update for Jovian Accord. I wouldn't argue it's a big update, but I wouldn't argue it's a small update. But what could be a small update are these changes we have proposed to Nightwave, to Sorties, to Sanctuary Onslaught. Not to be a, hey guys, this is your end game. Don't like saying that. No. Top level content. This is literally what you have just described. It is a method to keep people engaged, to wait for Empyrean. This isn't meant to be a cure-all answer to, oh no, Warframe's dying. No, not meant to be that.
I mean,
give the player base something to do until the new thing comes out.
I mean, you should always treat those sayings as fact. Just like as you like go on the internet and look at like, I have an ache in my stomach, and it's like, you're dying in 2 seconds.
You have cancer.
Yeah, my doctor said so, right? But I looked on the internet, and I'm definitely gonna die in the next 2 hours.
Wait, what? Is that blonde hair? Yeah, you got cancer.
Yeah, that one's hardy. No, see, I think that when it comes to like the Nightwave and the Sorties, that we're like, it's a pretty structural thing with like token systems that will continue to like work as that system. I think that when it comes to like enticing people to like do arbitrations or do sanctuary onslaught with augment mods, it's like it's putting rewards up there where it's like, which are really quickly consumable. And I'm pretty sure that like, if we're looking towards like entertaining the people, like keeping Warframe like alive and like well in this period, or this actually quite prolonged period of like downtime between updates, I think that this is just a consumable that will be like, in the sense of like, you put something in, people will do it, and it will be in the same state. Whereas I think that what we've addressed with the Sorties and the Nightwaves, it's something which is more, it will continue to function because people will continue to just get tokens, and like that would work. But when it comes to like, if there are augment mods, I'll get the augment mod at some point, and I won't have any interest in doing Sanctuary Onslaught, and I won't have any interest in
Maybe.
doing the Arbitrations. But then again, I also have the question: is that a problem?
I don't think it's a problem, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if people like the token system more, then maybe we could introduce tokens to ESO, tokens to Samaris, bitcoins, shall we say, tokens that allow you to buy these augments, the ones you want, as opposed to, and maybe the further you get into ESO, actually, let's call it, what's a state higher than elite? Let's call it Delta SO, right? Delta Sanctuary Onslaught, right? Then what you could say is the higher up you get, the more tokens, the more bitcoins you get, allowing you to earn your money faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would give players an incentive to go beyond one and out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which doesn't make a sense because you don't get a reward for doing it anyway. I personally much prefer Samari coins.
Yeah.
I much prefer doing Elite Sanctuary Onslaught exclusively because it's within my control of how I play, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to Arbitrations, where it's just like, okay, we've got 11. Oh, we died. Okay, right. What's the next one? Oh, a
Yeah.
defense. No, I don't want to do that one. What's the next one? Oh, it's mobile defense. Don't want to do that. Not mobile defense. Interception. Don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, what's the next one? Oh, it's defense again. Oh, cool. Like I genuinely hate that. I really, really do. And I much prefer the flexibility of playing when I want. It's like the problem with Eidolons. People hate the fact that you have to wait for the day-night cycle to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do Eidolons.
Yeah. So I think that in general, having and get, if we take a look at the broad lines of the changes that like we're looking at with the different systems that we've gone over, it's having it like kind of like uh synergize with the activities that you enjoy doing, and giving you options in the sense of tokens. So it's like these systems should entice you, like whether it's a Nightwave, whether it's a Sortie, whether it's a ESO or an Arbitration, should entice you to go out and maybe play that type of that part of the game. But it shouldn't be to forced and cramped down like an Arbitration where it's like, oh, you gotta wait an hour until this defense is gone, because why would you do that? Same thing with Nightwaves. Why would you go out and do and then fish for like for this stupid challenge? It's I think that is something which is really important, and like giving people also the choice and maybe fire a token system. I think that the token system has a really strong point. To give people the choice into what kind of rewards they get, and like making it feel more rewarding in the meantime, because right now you're just sitting between these things, which is like, it looks fun, but like, in the end, I don't really care. And if you like, it just drops a lot of things off. I don't think if you want to add more to that, we're like, I don't think we're like, we might have a really quick question round if anyone has any questions, but really quick questions you want to throw them in.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hand it off to you. Like, if you want to add something more there, if you feel like we've met something, feel free to close off on that.
Cool. So, ESO. Actually, make Arkwing